Hi everyone, welcome back. It's John. Today I want to talk to you about why having almost everything I ever wanted in life made me actually want nothing instead. Apart from a few things that actually mean something, there were so many things I didn't want anymore in my life. And if you are here today, there's a good chance that you might know what I'm talking about, even if it's just a little fraction of what I'm about to share. And I want you to know that having stuff, and I want to convince you that having stuff and having more stuff is not going to make you any happier than when you've achieved a minimum amount of comfort that majority of people would have had by now. So for years I looked at my peers thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have this nice Rolex watch, this BMW, this latest Ferrari, Porsche, Panorama, the Tesla, or this nice condo living in this landed house that costs like $10 million. Well, my life would be so much better and I'll be so much happier. And I don't know why, but I was pretty lucky, as I've said before, being born into a family that provided for me not just food and shelter, but the stuff that most people are chasing their entire lives. So without much effort on my part, I must say, I've got a roof over my head, I've got a nice car to drive, I've got the Rolex, and you know what? For a while, it feels great. If you haven't had a luxury item before, getting it for the first time is definitely an experience. I'm not going to undermine that experience. You're owning this flashy new toy, this thing, you're very happy you have it, and you kind of want to show it off. It's fine if you want to do that. You wear it proudly, you drive it around proudly, thinking you are the best because you got the latest and greatest thing that people are working their entire lives and surrendering their paychecks for. So they're spending the hours of blood and tears, sweat and tears, at the office trying to buy the things that at one point I had in my hands without really having to try. And I know it sounds arrogant and it sounds like I'm spoiled, but that is not a point I'm trying to get across here. What I want you to know is, yes, it will be fun and it'll be shiny, but soon enough, the novelty wears off, and it wears off every time. Whether you are already a few weeks or months into owning that product or that thing, or it's because a new model comes out, the new Rolex, the new latest year edition, the new model of the car that you're driving, whether it be petrol or EV, there's going to be so much more technology advancements. And you want everything. You want this, you want that. And over time, I realized that material possessions can never actually bring you true joy. It may temporarily give you a nice feeling, but the feeling doesn't last. It wears off, and eventually you want to fill that void again. And what happened with me is I started feeling empty very quickly after owning something that I thought was luxury, and I was once again in search for the next thing. So maybe for you it's something else. It could be a goal you reached that did not feel the way you imagined it would, that promotion that never felt enough, or something you worked toward for years that arrived and left you wondering what comes next, hoping the next milestone will bring you the kind of happiness that you've been searching for. Or maybe it's the moment you looked around at everything you had built and you felt that something was just not quite right. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why that feeling wears off and what that feeling and that off feeling is how it is the most important signal your life will ever send you. And if you follow that off feeling that you feel, you will actually be at a point where you get everything you need to build that next thing that will finally give you the meaning and satisfaction that you have been searching for all this time. Now I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow with everything on your list. The money, the recognition, the career, the home, the relationship that you've always wanted, or maybe the version of your life that lives in your head when you close your eyes and picture what enough looks like. Now imagine feeling nothing, just absolutely nothing. Like the destination you spent years racing toward had nothing waiting inside it when you finally arrived. That feeling of nothing is the most common, unreported experience of successful people on earth. And there's a name for it. So psychologists call it the arrival fallacy, the belief that when you reach the destination, you will finally feel the way you imagined you would when you were still on the way there. So there was a study in Harvard where psychologists spent years studying happiness, and they found that the arrival fallacy is one of the primary drivers of chronic dissatisfaction in high achievers. So they set the goal, or we set the goal, and we chase it, and then when we arrive, instead of feeling fulfillment, we feel maybe a brief sense of relief instead, followed by a question that we were not prepared for. The question is this it? Is this all that I have to show for it after all this work? What's the next thing? And the cycle continues. So this continuous cycle of chasing the next thing also has a name, and you've heard of it, the hedonic treadmill. Running faster and faster and faster, but never truly arriving and never feeling quite enough. So this same study tracked 724 men across 75 years, one of the longest studies on human happiness ever recorded, and their finding was clear. It was not wealth, fame, or achievement, status, or the accumulation of anything the world typically measures success by that brings people happiness. The single strongest predictor of a long, happy, and fulfilling life was actually the quality of a person's relationship. This is their social network, their family, their spouse, their loved ones, people they care about. That connection with other human beings was what brought the most joy. And the happiest people in that study is the ones that have the most meaningful relationships. And being where I am right now in my life, I can firmly say that that is 100% true. All the stuff that I ever bought never brought me happiness for more than a fleeting moment. The Apple products that I bought, the endless amounts of gear that I have, the games, the consoles, there's literally a billion things on earth that you can buy, but none of it is going to bring you the kind of joy that you really want. So, for me, none of the material things mattered, but knowing my parents loves me, my partner loves me unconditionally, and the way my dogs look at me when I come home, or a couple of my key friends that I trust with my life and information and my deepest, darkest secrets, brings me more joy than all the money and stuff in the world ever could. And if you ask me to choose between $1 billion or $100 billion or these people who love me, I would choose these people in a heartbeat. No amount of money is going to buy that kind of love, and love is the only thing that we're here for. So Arianna Huffington had built one of the most successful media empires in the world, and by every measure, she had everything, right? But then, one fine day, she collapsed in her office, and she broke her cheekbone on her desk, and she woke up in a pool of her own blood. Now she was exhausted, burnt out, as she had been running empty for years until her body finally gave out. And she said, "We think, mistakenly, that success is the result of the amount of time we put in at work, instead of the quality of time we put in." And Jim Carrey said something that I've never forgotten as well. He said, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of and get everything they ever wanted in life to see that that is not the answer." So what can we take from this? First, the arrival fallacy is real. And if you have felt that way before, when you've achieved something and it didn't feel quite right, and you wanted the next thing, it affects everybody. The goal you are chasing right now will not feel the way you think it will when you get there. And this applies to your current goal, if your goal is not aligned with true love. Now, of course, if you don't believe me and you've never experienced this before, then you can give it a shot on your own. You can test it. I can state 1,001 facts here, but if you don't experience it for yourself, you won't really know what I'm talking about. Now, secondly, the connection and the quality of your relationships with yourself, with others, with your sense of purpose will be the defining factor that determines the quality of your life far more than anything you will ever achieve or accumulate. Thirdly, the feeling of emptiness at the top. Even Taylor Swift felt this when she won the Album of the Year Grammy for the second time. She said that was, like, I'm at the top, but is this all? And that emptiness at the top is your most important feedback for your life that life would ever give it to you. So Jim Carrey had to get everything he ever wanted to understand what it all meant, that none of it mattered. And finally, I want you to know that purpose can be found if you're searching for it in the right places. So I want to ask you, what are you chasing right now? Is it a number in your bank account, a job title, to receive a level of recognition that will finally make you seen and felt like you're important? Or perhaps you have already arrived somewhere and you are carrying that kind of emptiness alone at the top because you are not sure anyone will understand. So I want you to ask yourself one question. If everything I am chasing arrived tomorrow, whatever dream that is, and you felt nothing, what would you wish you had built instead? What is that dream that is in alignment with you, that you would know without a question of a doubt that you would feel whole? Because that answer is your why. And your why is the only thing that will ever make you truly satisfied and contented with your life. Not only your why, but also people and relationships and friendships. So if you are someone who does not have quality connections with other human beings, if you're always working alone, think about that. What if 50 years from now, do you still want to be working alone? Being alone with all the money in the world? Having the yachts, the boats, the cars, the house, but no one either to share it with, or you're just trying to show off your material wealth? How will that feel if you have a 10-acre mansion, but you're the only one living in it? Or would you rather have, let's say, a smaller apartment full of life in it, with dogs, with people you love, a family, whatever is in alignment with what you need is what you should be aiming for. Work backwards from the future self of you, and don't start from a place of lack. So I hope, as always, that you learned something from today's video, and always remember that you are seen, you are heard, and I deeply, deeply care about you, and I love you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.